From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, July 11th, 2016. Silver is trading at $20.26 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,355 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $650. Antiwar.com reports Syria's military announced over the weekend a 72-hour extension of the nationwide ceasefire which they declared for Eid al-Fitr. The ceasefire never really took hold in the first place, and so far the signs are that the continuation isn't accomplishing much either. Though there were a few parts of the country that saw a relative calm during the Eid al-Fitr celebrations, the overall level of violence was said to be largely unchanged. On Sunday, the fighting largely centered on Aleppo, where al-Qaeda rebels are fighting with the military over areas around the key supply road. Although the military had initially presented the ceasefire as all-encompassing and nationwide, it appears to have excluded al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, albeit not explicitly so, as Syria and its allies have continued targeting both throughout and publicly affirmed such incidents. Though the Eid ceasefire was seen as an effort at being conciliatory during the important Muslim holiday, it isn't clear why there is an extension, as it doesn't appear that most rebel factions plan to abide by it anyhow. The Free Syrian Army had accepted the initial ceasefire but has yet to comment on the extension. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. UPI reports the British government rejected an online petition signed by more than 4.1 million people seeking a second referendum on the country leaving the European Union. The Foreign Office said the referendum was a once-in-a-generation vote and the decision must be respected. The referendum to leave the European Union, known as Brexit, was supported by 52% of voters on June 23rd. The petition said, "We, the undersigned, call upon Her Majesty's government to implement a rule that if the remain or leave vote is less than 60%, based on a turnout of less than 75%, there should be another referendum." The referendum turnout was 72.2%, according to the Electoral Commission. Parliament must consider all petitions that receive over 100,000 signatures. The Petition Committee was verifying signatures and had already thrown out 77,000 fraudulent ones. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports 3 countries have warned their citizens to stay on guard when visiting U.S. cities rocked by sometimes violent protests that erupted after a string of police shootings. The United States regularly issues travel warnings urging Americans to either avoid or exercise caution in countries marred by violence or police instability. Now the United States is the focus of concern by foreign governments in the Middle East and Caribbean as protesters marched in U.S. cities throughout the weekend after police killed black men in Louisiana and Minnesota last week. The protests have led to numerous arrests, scuffles, and injuries in confrontations between police and demonstrators. The United States was also tense after a lone gunman on Thursday shot dead 5 police officers during a protest in Dallas. The U.S. Embassy in Bahrain, a tiny Middle Eastern island nation, on Saturday urged citizens via Twitter to be cautious of protests in crowded areas occurring around the U.S. The Bahamas, a Caribbean nation with a majority black population, on Friday warned its people to be careful when visiting U.S. cities rocked by shootings of young black males by police officers. The Bahamian Foreign Ministry said in a travel advisory, in particular, young males are asked to exercise extreme caution in affected cities and the interactions with police. Do not be confrontational and cooperate. The United Arab Emirates urged its students and other citizens in the United States to also be careful, using similar language that the U.S. State Department employs when warning Americans about countries that have fallen victims to attacks by extremists. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.